Greetings, kindred. Hope y'all are having a good day. But every day is a good day when you're in Yahweh's Word. And today we're going to continue our study of the book of Ezekiel, written by Pastor Lancelot Knight of the former King's Chapel. If you haven't seen the previous recordings, you don't want to miss those. So go back and start from the beginning or wherever you left off before continuing on so it all makes sense. Okay, let's continue. We are still reading in the 7th chapter of Ezekiel about the final siege and spiritual onslaught to come against Yahweh's people by the king of Babylon in the last days. Though it seems a mystery to those who have been taught by traditionality that love is always being sugar-sweet and lovey-dovey, true love requires discipline and chastening. If you love your children, you will discipline them. But if you do not love your children, you will be real nice to them and let them have their way. As you would expect, our Father loves all of his children, and so he will chastise them. Hebrews 12:6. For whom Yahweh loveth, he chasteneth, and scoureth every son whom he receiveth. We continue now with the final chastening of this flesh age. Ezekiel 7, verse 9. And mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. I will recompense thee according to thy ways, and thine abominations that are in the midst of thee. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh that smiteth. All of Yahweh's children are treated fairly and receive just recompense for their own actions, a novel concept to the modern-day liberal who likes to blame everyone and everything else, like a defective gene made them do it, or a gun made them do it. So, if Yahweh's children have asked for it by ignoring his word and bringing every imaginable idolatrous doctrine and abomination into their churches, they are going to get what's coming to them. They are going to worship the king of Babylon as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, only he will be Satan himself. And they are going to find out real soon, following their affair with the false Messiah, that is their loving Father who did the chastening, and it was for their own good. The day of reckoning is coming real soon. Verse 10. Behold the day, behold it is come, the morning is gone forth, the rod hath blossomed, pride hath budded. Hear ye, it is dawned, and the day of your chastisement has arrived. This rod is the ruling scepter of the king of Babylon, which is used as a rod of correction to punish those who worship the abominable and accursed thing, the son of perdition posing as Yeshua. Verse 11. Violence is risen up in a rod of wickedness, none of them shall remain, nor of their multitude, nor of any of theirs, neither shall there be wailing for them. Violence is the Hebrew word shamak, which means unrighteousness. In other words, unrighteousness has resulted in, culminated in, the rod of chastisement, and none shall escape, neither will anyone feel sorry for them. Justice will prevail. Always remember it is idolatry, false religion, and not the sins of the flesh that is the greatest unrighteousness. Ezekiel 7, verse 12. The time is come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. There will be nothing to buy or sell, for the wrath of Yahweh is on the land. That's the Living Bible. In other words, wrath falls upon the entire city and the whole bunch of them. And inasmuch as Jerusalem is put forth as the focal point, the center of the nations, wrath falls upon the whole world. Verse 13. For the seller shall not return to that which is sold, although they were yet alive. For the vision is touching the whole multitude thereof, which shall not return. Neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life. Never so long as they live shall the sellers get back to their estates, and none shall prosper by iniquitous dealing. That's the Moffat version. Verse 14. They have blown the trumpet, even to make all ready, but none goeth to the battle, for my wrath is upon the multitude thereof. When the trumpet sounds the warning that the king of Babylon is on his way, where will the multitude be? Will they have on the gospel armor and be prepared to take a stand and go to battle against the false Messiah? No, they won't, for they will have been captivated by the wondrous and marvelous one who appears as Yeshua the Christ. They will not recognize him as the enemy of Almighty Yahweh and his Christian soldiers. So, as verse 14 says, none goeth to battle. Ezekiel 7, verse 15. The sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. All who are not on the watchman's side of the iron griddle, remember Ezekiel's model, who do not have the gospel armor on and in place, who have not the seal of Yahweh in their foreheads, that is, sealed their minds with the word of Yahweh by eating the whole book, will die spiritually wherever they are. The two-edged sword is the word of Yahweh, Revelation 1, verse 16. But Satan has his own look-alike sword, which people will swallow with ease. The famine, as we have seen in Amos 8, verse 11, is for the hearing of the word of Yahweh, and the pestilence is that which comes as a result of the famine, that is, the plague of diseased false doctrines, replacing the true bread of life, the word of Yahweh, spearheaded by the flyaway rapture theory. Ezekiel 7, verse 16. But they that escape of them shall escape, and shall be on the mountains like doves of the valleys, and all of them mourning every one for his iniquity. Quote, and if any survivors escape, they shall be hiding in the hills, mourning over their sins, moaning like doves of the valley. That's the Moffat version. In other words, this verse is really saying the same thing as verse 11, that no one will escape the effect of this siege. Verse 17, all hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. They will all be shaken in their boots, pardner, as John Wayne. Verse 18, they shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them, and shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon all their heads. They shall wish the mountains to fall upon them for the shame they will experience when they finally know that Yahweh is Elohim. Yeshua talked about this as he walked upon the hill to Golgotha. Luke 23, verse 29. For behold, the days are coming, in the which they shall say, blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bare, and the paps which never gave suck. Yeshua is saying, blessed are those who do not commit fornication with the false Messiah. Blessed are those who do not attend the first wedding, and are therefore not seduced by the fake bridegroom. Blessed are those who endure until the end and wait until the marriage of the Lamb. This verse has absolutely nothing to do with natural childbirth and breastfeeding. It is simply an analogy. Verse 30. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. They will be totally ashamed and will have hit rock bottom, as we say, and will now be ready to be detoxed from the wine of fornication and enter the millennium rehab. Ezekiel 7, verse 19. And they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. Here is further documentation that we are talking about the end of this earth age, which is the day of his wrath, and there will be nothing that they can turn to that will help them. Actually, it is their love of Christ that becomes the stumbling block of their iniquity. How so? They were disobedient and did not love their Father enough to study his word to know the difference between the two Christs, the real and the impostor. So they fell down and worshiped the impostor, Satan himself, believing in their hearts that he was Yeshua. Therefore they stumble big time. Peter explains, 1 Peter 2, verse 6. Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, Behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded. Verse 7. Unto you therefore which believe, he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. Yeshua the Christ is the chief cornerstone, the stone which the builders rejected. It is he who becomes the stone of stumbling, i.e., the stumbling block. Verse 8. And a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. They were supposed to study to show themselves approved. They were supposed to learn the parable of the fig tree as Christ commanded. They were supposed to take heed that no man deceive them by searching the scriptures daily and believing what Christ says, not man's stories, theories, and traditions. Therefore, as verse 8 says, they stumble at the word because they do not study it, and Yahweh calls that disobedience. Ezekiel 7, verse 20. For as the beauty of his ornament, he set it in majesty, but they made the images of their abominations and of their detestable things therein. Therefore have I set it far from them. The subject is still the city of Jerusalem, his sanctuary, his gem, which he set in majesty, as his home forever and ever, world without end. And so it shall be, when the new Jerusalem comes down out of heaven to this location that our Father chose out of all the locations in the universe. He did this in Ezekiel chapter 16. However, Jerusalem has become the city of the great whore, who rides atop the peoples of the world and has committed fornication even with all the kings of the earth. Revelation 7 verse... Oh, there is no verse. Revelation 17. Revelation 17:1. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Verse 15 of this chapter will document that the waters are people. Revelation 17, verse 15. And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Religion looks so real, and it is so intoxicating. People love it. Yum, yum. Most actually prefer religion over Yahweh's word, as it is documented by the great church attendance in this nation coinciding with great biblical illiteracy. But you see, religion, churchianity, is idolatry, which our Father likens to whoredom. And the woman, the great whore who gives birth to confusion and idolatries, she is called the mother of harlots, stems from and is in fact that great city of Jerusalem. Revelation 17, verse 18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And so we continue in Ezekiel reading about the siege and wrath to come upon the city of Jerusalem, even his sanctuary. Remember Ezekiel's model? Chapter 7, verse 21. And I will give it into the hands of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it. The Kenite, the wicked of the earth, has already taken over the city and the temple, as well as Satan's dung cakes have even polluted it. Okay, I want to stop for a minute in case you're not familiar with this word Kenite. It means the sons of Cain. If you've studied Lance's book of Genesis, you'll find that Cain was actually fathered by the wicked one. That's found in 1 John 3, verse 12, I believe. And it's the root of the serpent's seed. I'm going to get into Genesis after I finish Ezekiel, and we'll cover that. It's very, very significant here. 22. My face will I turn also from them, and they shall pollute my secret place, for the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. These robbers are the false shepherds, the stealers of Yahweh's sheep, the stealers of men's souls, the bakers of dung cakes. John 10, verse 1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. Ezekiel 7, verse 23. Make a chain, for the land is full of bloody crimes, and the city is full of violence. Again, the word violence means wrong, as in unrighteousness. And look up the word crimes. It means ordinance or law, as in divine law, which has been so perverted that it is bloody, meaning it causes death to the soul. Make a chain means prepare the chains for my people. They are going into bondage and captivity by the king of Babylon. Note, yes, as we read this study, the city of Jerusalem is filled with literal bloody crimes and real physical violence, but that is not the unrighteousness that causes the wrath of Yahweh. It is idolatry and the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel. Okay, I want to stop here for a minute and read the definition of the word adultery. It's very similar to idolatry. And in Strong's definition, na'oth, a primitive root to commit adultery, figuratively to apostatize, an adulterer, adulteress, committing adultery, a woman that breaketh wedlock. And there's another definition too. Okay, to commit adultery, adultery of woman, adultery of man. And then the second definition is idolatrous worship. So you can see idolatry and adultery are very similar. We discussed this earlier. I want to read to you a little bit from Ezra chapter 9, starting with verse 1, just to give you a little bit of idea of the idolatry and adultery that these children committed, of the children of Israel that Ezekiel's referring to, which pertains to this day. Verse 1, Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, The people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. Verse 2, for they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the land of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. So that just gives you an idea right there what it was that Israel was partaking in that causes the fury of Yahweh. Let's continue. Verse 24, wherefore I will bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses, and I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, and their holy places shall be defiled. Verse 25, destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. The destroyer, the death angel, the king of Babylon, is soon on his way to bring destruction to the souls of men. Ezekiel 7, verse 26, mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest, and the counsel from the ancients. Verse 27, the king shall mourn, and the prince shall be clothed with desolation, and the hands of the people of the land shall be troubled. And I will do unto them after their way, and according to their deserts will I judge them, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. Calamity upon calamity will befall you, woe upon woe, disaster upon disaster. You will long for a prophet to guide you, but the priests and elders and the kings and princes will stand helpless, weeping in despair. The people will tremble with fear, for I will do to them the evil they have done, and give them all their just deserts. They shall learn that I am Yahweh. That's from the Living Bible. And they shall learn that he means exactly what he says in his word. So don't be disobedient. Read and study the word of Yahweh. Okay, that ends this particular study. We'll pick it up next time, starting with verse 28. If there is a verse 28, let me check. Maybe a new chapter. Okay, yeah, we're going to start with chapter 8 next time. So in the meantime, Yahweh bless, and stay strong and stay obedient in Yahweh's word. Amen.